The world tilted. One moment Sarah was walking home, her mind awash with thoughts of tomorrow's presentation. She had rehearsed her lines 100 times, each word etched into her memory. The city lights flickered around her, casting long shadows on the pavement. She felt a slight chill in the air, but it was nothing compared to the warmth of her excitement. The next, a gloved hand clamped over her mouth, yanking her into the suffocating darkness of a waiting van. The transition was so abrupt, so violent that her mind struggled to catch up. One second she was free, the next she was ensnared. Terror, raw and consuming, flooded her veins as the world dissolved into a nightmare. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat a desperate plea for escape. She tried to scream, but the sound was muffled, swallowed by the oppressive darkness. The van sped away, the echo of her muffled screams swallowed by the city's indifference. The streets, once familiar and safe, now seemed alien and hostile. The city that had been her home was now a labyrinth of fear. Sarah's life, as she knew it, was over. The normalcy of her daily routine shattered in an instant. The last thing she remembered was the sickly sweet scent of air freshener, a cruel mockery of the terror that gripped her heart. It was a scent that would haunt her dreams. Then, darkness consumed her. It was a void, an abyss where time seemed to stretch and warp. She floated in that darkness, her mind a whirl of fragmented thoughts and fears. When she finally woke, pain lanced through her head, a throbbing counterpoint to the fear that coiled tight in her gut. Her body ached, every muscle protesting as she tried to move. The disorientation was overwhelming. Blinking against the dim light filtering through a single high window, Sarah found herself in a small, bare room. The walls were cold and unyielding, a stark contrast to the warmth of her memories. She felt a pang of longing for the safety of her home. The air hung heavy with the smell of damp and something else, something vaguely metallic and unfamiliar. This wasn't a dream. The reality of her situation settled over her like a shroud, suffocating and inescapable. This was her reality now. The fear was a constant companion, whispering in her ear, reminding her of the danger she was in. She knew she had to stay strong, to find a way out, but the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. Days bled into nights, an endless cycle of light and dark that seemed to mock her confinement. Each sunrise brought a fleeting hope, only to be crushed by the relentless return of nightfall. Time lost all meaning in the suffocating confines of the room. The clock on the wall, devoid of hands, was a cruel reminder of her stagnant existence. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the floorboards. Her captor, a man whose face remained shrouded in shadow, brought her food at irregular intervals, his silence as unnerving as his presence. The sound of the door opening was both a relief and a terror, signaling a brief respite from solitude, but also a reminder of her captivity. Sarah quickly learned to take what she could from these brief encounters, committing every detail to memory: the man's height, his gait, the faint scent of pine that clung to him. She observed his shoes, the way he moved, and the rhythm of his breathing, hoping to find a clue that might aid her escape. Her only solace was a single book, a worn copy of Jane Eyre, left behind as if by accident. The pages were yellowed and the cover tattered, but it was a treasure in her bleak world. In Jane's struggles for freedom, Sarah found an echo of her own desperate longing. Each page she turned was a step closer to a world beyond her prison, a world where she could be free. She clung to the book, its words a lifeline to a world that seemed a million miles away. The story of Jane Eyre became her anchor, grounding her in moments of despair and giving her the strength to endure. But Sarah refused to surrender to despair. She had to escape. The thought of freedom was a flame that burned brightly within her, refusing to be extinguished by the darkness of her surroundings. She had to find a way back to the life that had been stolen from her. Every moment, every breath, was a step towards reclaiming her freedom. She knew that one day, she would break free from her prison and step into the light once more. One day, the man made a mistake. He left his phone on the table, a seemingly innocuous oversight that ignited a spark of hope in Sarah's chest. It was a slim chance, but it was all she had. As soon as he left, her heart pounding a frantic tattoo against her ribs, Sarah crept towards the phone. It was locked, of course, but as she fiddled with it, a notification flashed across the screen, a message from someone named Mike. Sarah's mind raced. Mike, could this be her captor's name? The thought sent a fresh wave of fear through her, but it was quickly replaced by a surge of desperate hope. If she could somehow use this phone, maybe, just maybe, she could get a message out. Hours turned into days as Sarah painstakingly formulated a plan. She couldn't risk a direct message, not with the ever-present threat of her captor returning. Her gaze fell on the book, its pages filled with underlined passages and scribbled notes. An idea began to form, a daring, desperate plan that hinged on the hope that someone, somewhere, would understand. She waited until her captor left, then, with trembling hands, she opened his social media account. Using the pre-written notes function, she carefully crafted a message, a seemingly innocuous post about the book she was reading, peppered with seemingly random quotes and page numbers. To anyone else it would look like the ramblings of an avid reader, but to someone who knew what to look for it was a lifeline, a coded cry for help. Section 5. Reaching out. The moment she hit post, a wave of dizziness washed over her. She had never felt so vulnerable, so exposed. It was as if she had bared her soul to the world, hoping someone, anyone, would hear her silent scream. She had taken the chance, thrown her message into the vast digital ocean. Each keystroke had been a plea, each word a beacon in the darkness. She knew the odds were slim, but she had to try. She had to believe that somewhere out there, someone would see her message and understand its urgency. Now all she could do was wait and pray that it would reach the right shores. The waiting was the hardest part, the uncertainty gnawing at her insides. She checked her phone obsessively, hoping for a response, a sign, anything to break the silence. Back in the real world, her friends refused to give up hope. They gathered regularly, brainstorming new ways to spread the word to keep her story alive. They were her lifeline, her connection to the world she had been torn from. Days after her disappearance, they had transformed her social media accounts into beacons of hope, sharing updates, pleas for information, and keeping her memory alive. Every post was a testament to their love and determination, a digital vigil that burned brightly in the face of despair. They organized searches, distributed flyers, and clung to the belief that she was out there, somewhere, waiting to be found. Their efforts were tireless, their resolve unshakable. They knew that giving up was not an option. Among them was Emily, Sarah's best friend since childhood. Emily was a force of nature, her determination a beacon of hope for everyone involved. She spearheaded the search efforts, refusing to let despair take hold. Their bond ran deep, forged in shared secrets and whispered dreams. They had been inseparable, their lives intertwined in ways that only true friends could understand. Emily knew Sarah better than anyone, and she was convinced that Sarah was still out there, somewhere. Emily refused to believe that Sarah was gone. She held on to hope with a fierce grip, her heart refusing to accept what her mind sometimes feared. She looked at Sarah's photo every day, drawing strength from their memories. She scoured Sarah's online activity, desperately searching for any clue, any sign that could lead them to her. Every post, every comment was a potential lead, a thread that could unravel the mystery. Emily's determination was unwavering, her love for Sarah a guiding light in the darkness. Section 6. Deciphering the code. It was Emily who first noticed the strange post on Sarah's account. At first glance it seemed harmless enough, the kind of literary musings Sarah often shared. But something about it felt off. The quotes, the page numbers, the almost frantic tone, it was all wrong. Driven by a gut feeling, Emily began to dissect the post, her heart pounding with a mixture of dread and a sliver of hope. She recognized the book, of course. It was Sarah's favorite, a story they had shared and dissected countless times. As she looked closer, she realized that the seemingly random quotes and page numbers weren't random at all. They were clues, a coded message hidden in plain sight. With a gasp, realization dawned. Sarah was alive, and she was trying to tell them where she was. Section 7. Against the clock. A frantic energy gripped the room as Emily shared her discovery. The coded message, once deciphered, painted a chilling picture. Sarah was being held captive and time was running out. They had to act fast. Using their combined knowledge of Sarah's habits, her love for obscure landmarks and the scant clues gleaned from the coded message, they were able to pinpoint a possible location. The police were immediately alerted, their initial skepticism giving way to grim determination, as they realized the chilling possibility that they were dealing with a genuine abduction. The clock was ticking, every second a hammer blow to the hearts of those who loved Sarah. Hope, once a flickering flame, now roared into a bonfire of determination. They would find her. They had to. Section 8. Freedom's Embrace. The safe house stood at the edge of town, a weather-beaten structure that blended into the landscape. It was here, guided by the desperate hope woven into Sarah's coded message, that the police converged. The raid was swift and decisive. The element of surprise was on their side, catching the abductor off guard. The moment the door splintered open, Sarah's heart leaped into her throat, a strangled cry escaping her lips. The world spun, a blur of shouting, running figures, and the overwhelming relief of seeing her captor wrestled to the ground. And then, she was free. Wrapped in the embrace of a female officer, the dam finally broke and Sarah allowed herself to crumble. The weight of her ordeal crashing down upon her. She was safe. She was finally, truly safe. Section 9. Picking up the pieces. The aftermath was a whirlwind. There were doctors, counselors, endless questions from authorities piecing together the puzzle of her abduction. But through it all, Sarah held on to the faces of her loved ones, their relief a tangible force that anchored her to the present. The road to recovery was long and arduous, paved with nightmares and flashbacks, but with each passing day, the darkness receded, replaced by the vibrant colors of a life reclaimed. The experience had changed her, branded her soul with a darkness she knew she would carry forever. But it had also revealed an inner strength she never knew she possessed, a resilience forged in the crucible of fear and uncertainty. She had stared into the abyss and emerged, broken but not defeated. She was a survivor,